Right, welcome everyone. I've just switched the recording on, so this session is being recorded, and the link will be made available this afternoon, so you can watch it back. Right, the actual webinar title for this afternoon is Anonymous Marking in Moodle. So before I get started, I just want to go through some instructions for the webinar. So what I've done is I've actually muted everybody's microphone, so you can hear me, but I won't be able to hear you. If you want to ask me a question or you have a comment or anything, the best place to do that is through using the chat facility. So as you see on the screen, and where I've highlighted with the red arrow, there's a little icon on the left-hand side of the screen. So bottom left hand side of the screen, if you just click on that icon, you'll get a chat facility come up there and you can ask any questions. What I'll tend to do is go through the presentation, and then if anybody's got any questions, I'll take those questions at the end. Okay, alright, so that's a little bit about the instructions. The aim of this webinar are these points here. So first of all, I'm going to switch on anonymous marking / blind marking in Moodle. So at the moment, the default setting is that anonymous marking is actually switched off. Now, just a note about the language here as well. I'll use the words anonymous and blind marking interchangeably. Basically, when lecturers and students talk about it, what we mean by anonymous marking is that students submit their work, lecturers mark it. They mark it when it's anonymous, so they don't know who the students' names are when they're marking their piece of work. They grade it, they put any marks on it, and then they give that piece of work back to the students. And it's only when it's been marked do the names get revealed. So that's what we mean by anonymous marking. Also, Moodle doesn't use the word anonymous, so it uses the word blind marking. So actually, when you go into Moodle and when you're looking for the button for it to switch it on, you'll see the word blind marking. So, but I will use these two words, anonymous and blind marking, to mean the same thing in this presentation. Okay, so second, once we switched on, then I'll show you how to view the student submissions. Thirdly, I will show you how to download and mark the submitted work. And then finally, I will show you how to reveal the students' names and return the marks to the students. Okay, aim to do all of that in about 15-20 minutes max, hopefully. Okay, and I'll do that through a live presentation of Moodle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log into Moodle. I'm going to bring up an area where I've created a space. So if you just bear with me for just a couple of seconds while I load the Moodle site, and hopefully you will be starting to see the screen in front of you with the Moodle site in front of you. Okay, so sorry, I'm just having a few technical issues, but it should have loaded by now. Okay, can I just need to double check with you to see that you can actually see the screen in front of you. So okay, Joe, if you're there, can you just give me a thumbs up to make sure? Can you see the Moodle screen in front of you? If you can just send me a message in the chat room. Right, excellent. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so what I'll do now is just go into Moodle and show you initially how to set up the blind marking. So I'm just going to go into my area here. So this is just an empty space. So hopefully you're very familiar with the look and the layout of a Moodle site. So let me just go up to the top of the course. So I've created a section here called assessment and feedback. So I'm just going to click in there. So typically speaking, this is where I would put my assignments. So I've got already a few lined up there. So what I want to do first of all is to set up an assignment with blind or stroke anonymous marking. First of all, we need to turn editing on and then go to the link that says resources and go to the link that says add an activity or resource. Click on there, select assignment and then click add. Okay, and I suspect most people are very familiar to doing this, so I'm just going to call this assignment with blind marking. Okay, if you wanted to, you could put a description in there, maybe add an assignment brief to that. Check the due dates are correct. I won't look at any of these other settings except for the one that we want, which is to click on grade. So it's about 3/4 of the way down the page. If you click on grade, and then the drop down gives you the various options. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth option down, you'll see the phrase blind marking. So as I said before, the default option is that this is switched off. So obviously it says no there. To switch the blind marking on, hence the anonymous marking, we just change that from no to yes. Okay, I won't change any of the other settings, and then I'm going to go save and return to course. I'll switch the editing off, and as you can see, it looks like any other assignment that's been set up there, but I've obviously called this one assignment with blind marking. So what I'm going to do now is log out as myself, and I'm going to log back in as a student and then submit a piece of work. So I go up to the top, I go to log out. I'm going to log in now as with a dummy student account. I'm going to go to the same module where I set up that submission area. I'm going to go to the same assignment I've just set up. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to submit a piece of work as if I was a student. So add submission. I'm going to attach an assignment. And I'm going to upload this file to this submission area. So I'm going to go save changes, and then I'm going to hand in my submission. So I'm not going to edit it, I'm just going to go straight to hand in my submission. So I confirm this is my own piece of work and go continue. And then I've got a green bar across the page that said submitted for grading. Right, so now I'm going to come out. So I'm going to log out of being a student, and I'm going to log back in as myself, i.e. as a lecturer. Okay, so let's go back to the same space. So go back to the same module. I'm going to assessment and feedback, and I go back to the assignment submission. So now I'm going to click on assignment with blind marking to access the student's work. So what I'm going to do now is to view all my submissions. And this is the look that I get now. So In this particular course, and obviously this looks slightly different if you're actually teaching a course, but in this particular module, I've only got 2 students. So these are the 2 students here. The section green is, it says submitted for grading. So that was just when I logged in as a student, that shows me that I've actually uploaded the student's work here. So the other student who's in this course has not made any submission at all. Okay, so that gives me an overview of all the class and all the students in there. One thing I'd want to point out to you is that obviously we cannot see the students' names, so we don't know who the student is in Moodle. If the student has included the name in their submission, then we will be able to see it. So when it comes to actually guidance to the students, we need to tell them that they must not include the student's name in their submission, in their piece of work that they submit, either in the text or in a header or a footer. But we do advise that when the students submit their piece of work, that actually the students put their student ID number into both the name of the file or the header or the footer. So whilst we might not know the student's name, if we need to track a student submission, it's a good idea that they use their student ID number. The number where it says identifier, so in this first one, student 1, it's called it participant 1255087. This is a number that does not relate to anything. It does not relate to the student ID number, it does not relate to the name of the student in any way. This is a randomly generated number that Moodle creates. So you cannot identify the student from this number here. So that's just something worth pointing out. Okay, so we've got 2 choices now. We can grade the individual piece of work, or we could download all the pieces of work in one go if we wanted to mark them maybe offline. So the first of these 2 options, so if I go to the top of the page where it says grading action, and in the drop down you've got some different options. So I could download, if I chose to download all submissions, which is this option here, what that would mean is both of these students' pieces of work would be submitted. They would actually be uploaded into a zip file, and then you could download them onto your PC, onto your laptop, or onto your memory stick, and then you could mark them offline, and then when you'd mark them you could re-upload them. So you can choose the re-upload button, which is called upload multiple feedback files in a zip. So that's one way of doing the marking. Depends on which way you want to do it. The second option is to mark the student's piece of work individually. So to do that, say for this first piece of work here where I've got submitted for grading, the first student, I will click on grade, and then I've got various options there. So for this piece of work, let's say I've marked it, I give it a relatively high piece of work, high score, so I'm going to mark it out of 100. I'm going to give this student 78. I'm going to give some overall feedback, and you've got plenty of space there to write as much as you want. You also have the option to download the student's piece of work, maybe add comments into the text, and then upload it here. So where it's got feedback files, if you click on the add file, you can select a file and upload. I'm just going to upload the same file again to show you how easy it is to do, but obviously that would be a file with the individual comments on it. And then at the end of that process, so you've added a mark, you've put overall comments, you put individual comments, you would save changes. So I'm just going to click on the save changes button there. The changes to the grade, and then you get the message, the changes to the grade and feedback was saved. So it's just really just a confirmation that it's actually there. Okay, so that's how you do it individually in terms of adding a grade to it. to the individual piece of work. All right. The final process then is obviously to reveal the students' grades. So assuming we've marked all the piece of work. Let me just mark this other piece of work here. So I'm going to give this student 0 marks because they haven't handed in any work. Maybe put a comment, no submission, and then save changes at the bottom. Okay, so oops, it seems to have jumped out of. Let me just go back in there again. Okay, so I've marked the 2 pieces of work. I've given 78 and 0%. Once I've finished marking all the class members' pieces of work, I will be then in a position then to reveal the students' grades. So to do that, to reveal the students' names, to get rid of the anonymity. So to do that, go back to the grading action, which is the button at the top of the page. In the drop down, you have the option reveal student identities. So we click on that option. Before I do so, I need to point out that once you've made this choice and once you've clicked on this button, you cannot then reintroduce the anonymity. So once you reveal the student identities, you cannot then go back again and hide the student identities. So you have to make sure that you're 100% certain this is what you want to do. So let me click here, reveal student identities. You get a pop-up window just double checking that's exactly what you wanted to do, and if it is, you just click the identity button, and then we get the option. What we've done there is in terms of it's revealed that it's revealed the students' names are back there. Okay, so sorry, that was the look I was aiming for. Once the students' identities are revealed, this is the view that you will get. So the random number that's generated for each student has now been replaced with the students' names. So in this case, I've only got 2 students. They are actually dummy students. So the first one is called Dell Sandpit Student 4, and the second one is called Dell Sandpit Student 1. So we now know the names of the students. At this stage, we cannot go back and hide the students' names. So the students' names are revealed to the lecturer. Okay, so that's quite clear and relatively simple. And then the final bit is to actually send the grades back to the students. So we can do that individually, or probably in most cases, most lecturers would want to actually send the students' grades back all in one go. So to do so, under the students' names, you will see a drop-down box, which in this case says lock submissions. So I'm going to change that from lock submissions to set marking workflow state. So click on that and then click on the go button. Oh, sorry, I need to select the users. So sorry, select all users, then click on set marking workflow state, click on go, click on OK on the drop down, and then once the marking is completed, select marking completed, and then if you want to as well, you have the option to actually notify students by email if you wanted to. And then finally, save changes. Okay, and then basically what means now is that the students can go into Moodle, they can click on My Grades, and they can get both the marks back and the feedback that you have given them. Okay, so that's it in terms of what I was aiming to do in terms of this presentation. So let me just go back now to a couple more slides that I've got up here. So I'll just go back. And again, you should see the screen change in front of you now. And just take a couple of seconds for okay. Alright, so just a couple of things to finish up on. Everything I've talked through there is a guide, a staff guide, and a video actually. So if you get stuck in this process and you want some online help, then click where it says Moodle Help on the top left-hand corner of your Moodle site. There you'll get video instructions on how to set up anonymous marking and how to give feedback to your students. You'll also get videos there. Also, you can book a face-to-face session if you need some help. In terms of the next few weeks over this semester, we have other webinars planned. So we've got approaches to providing electronic feedback, what's new in Moodle, Moodle site health check, and getting Moodle ready for the next semester. So either have a look on the staff intranet or keep your eye on Yammer, where these sessions will be advertised. Okay, I will leave my contact details up on the last slide just for a couple of minutes. I don't have any further questions that are coming through the chat room, so unless there's anything else, I'll stop the session there. And as I say, I'll make this session, this recording, actually the recording of the link, available on Yammer as well. Okay, thank you very much.